Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Corridor Digital Podcast.
It's so pleasant.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do the whole solo without like a rhythm guitar or anything. I figured I'd spare you of that. And now I have a frog in my throat. So welcome back, everybody. Today we have some very special people on the cast. We've got Niko Paringer, of course.
Hi.
Hello. We've got Jonah Kaplan.
Hi.
It was so formal. Jake, this is like 150th episode? Yeah. People know who we are by now.
This is a 172nd episode, Niko. I'm trying to start off with like a chill vibe. We'll slip right into it. And we've got Jordan Coleman.
Hi,
hello,
guys.
Jordan.
Big fan.
Of me?
Yeah,
and of course,
everything you've done,
and
man.
of course, me.
Hi. Actually, and Jake Watson, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. How are you? You know, every intro is different. You never know what you're going to get. And like that dude who made the bingo board for the podcast, you never know what you're going to get.
Dude, the bingo board
everyone might be a winner.
I feel so seen.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all saw that, but this guy on Reddit made a great little post about the podcast, and we shared it as well. It was really cool.
Yeah, you can see it on our Instagram page.
See, you're fulfilling one of the things right now where you look at your phone during the podcast.
It's really, really,
that was Sam.
It's really intense.
But
Sam looked at his phone for 5 minutes. Oh no, wait, dead air while waiting for someone to find something on their phone. That was me pulling up the bingo card right now. Oh my gosh. It starts with a guitar. We've already got that one checked off.
We check.
Jake, are we this formulaic? Are we this predictable?
No, it's kind of strange to be like, I don't know, just like boiled down into these little,
it's like joining your friends again. It's like coming around the table, Let's go.
We are who we are.
Let's try and hit all of them today.
At least we're consistent. Well, Ren's not here to scream.
Yeah. And Matt isn't here to say, what is it?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
I never heard him say that.
Oh, just wait for it.
Yeah, you did. It slips right in there. It's subconscious.
But sometimes he also goes up because he's like, yeah, you did. And it's really like character-like.
Yes.
Niko blows his nose into the mic. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what we need? We need a kill button for you, Niko. Like I have one on my
I try to do like the Tazon Day
here.
thing where I back away from the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cherry chocolate rain.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, Jake,
I just checked off the box that says doing something that can only be seen on the video version of the podcast. We're like 2 minutes into it already.
Listen, our start, the hero video that I put for people on the CorridorCast page is the one that we were doing during COVID, and it starts off with just me glitching out the whole time, where I'm like, "Welcome back to the Corridor Digital Podcast," and then you all laugh, and then I do it again, and it glitches again. I think it's the perfect summary of what we do here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Jason Bourne.
Yes, thank you, Bourne franchise, for everything you've done.
So you people who watch our videos, which is probably everybody listening to this podcast, you saw the movie tests that Jake has been starring in. The Batman one, where Batman has disappeared, the Superman identity Clark Kent thing, the Spider-Man tray catch, and there's this other one that had been on our list for a while. And I really wanted to do it, but it was extra hard to do, which is the Jason Bourne disappearing act. Yeah.
This one required some additional research before we went straight into it, such as doing a few other of these formats beforehand. And now that we've gotten a little bit of a sense for what it is, now we felt like we were ready to finally take this one on.
Yeah. So the idea here is that at the end of the first Jason Bourne movie, Matt Damon, as he's walking away from the camera, disappears when a little like moped thing drives in front of him. At the same time, like people cross the frame. It's like, oh, where did he go? He disappeared. He's a spy. He's mysterious. In reality, you can watch it in slow motion, frame by frame, and you can see that he's literally ducked and running behind this little moped thing with like a windshield on it. It's like, oh, he's just right there, scooting along, running out of the shot. And so we're like, well, can we do the same thing with Jake? Can Jake like get somebody's attention and then disappear when like a car drives by. And we're like, I think it's possible. But the thing is, we can't do it when people know Jake is in town. We have to keep it a secret. We have to smuggle Jake into Los Angeles, unbeknownst to everybody that he's here in the studio. And then we have to pull off this moment and then have him disappear. So it's very, very complicated and very intense. We wanted to see if it would work. And also at this point, everyone in the office is very savvy to like when weird things are happening. So we enlisted the help of Jonah. We enlisted the help of Jordan. Actually, we didn't.
No, I was actually surprised. Derek, we enlisted the help of Derek.
And of course, Nick had to film all of it, and off we went.
Yes. And well, I hope it was a success. I mean, I feel like if you saw it already, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. But I feel like we pulled it off. I mean, that's what I was getting when we were bringing people out. And I think everyone, even though everyone is savvy to me pulling these experiments, everyone is also savvy to playing along with them now. So
we don't want to ruin the video.
True.
Yeah. Well, I think
but you can tell when you authentically.
Yeah, we had a different approach to this one, and I think that was good. We've kind of everyone's gotten used to, oh well, Jake's in town, so now something's gonna happen, you know. And I think it was the right move this time to, try and catch everyone with their pants down a little bit, and make sure that they weren't already waiting for something to happen. Now, to be fair, when we started pulling people out one by one for a mysterious walk down the street, I think some people were a little cued in. But I think that even with a little bit of like what's happening, no one had you on their mind in that moment. I think that really was the key to making this whole thing happen.
So Jonah, as basically the piece of glue that made this whole thing work, what was the method? What happened? How did we hit people with this setup here?
Well, I think the most important thing was the way that the idea came to be publicly, right? Mm-hmm. So we had discussed on Friday, I think, was it Friday? We were like, all right, Jake's gonna come in town. How are we gonna make this seem like a normal day? So I told Jake, hey, in the morning meeting, ask me what I'm doing today, and I'll tell them the idea that we had come up with. And I think if we hadn't done that, if you had kind of come out of the bat and been like, all right, so Jonah, you're filming that video, right? People would be like,
yeah,
Jake doesn't usually do that. Usually he asks Jonah what he's doing. And so you kind of primed me and I was like, oh, I had this great idea. Let's take everyone out on the street and do a little history lesson on the things that we filmed out on the street. And I think we did it so seamlessly that it just kind of glazed over everyone's minds. And so that was really the secret. And then I think we did this thing and we had kind of figured out a rhythm as we kept doing it. But really trying to, kind of like how a magician will, wave his hand here and do something here. The waving of the hand was asking them questions about the street as we got there, because people started it was weird. We've never gone out on the street like that. So they're probably a little on edge. And we started asking them questions, and Niko started being like, all right, this is a points game. You have to number guess the number of things we've shot on the street. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And so suddenly their minds racing and they're trying to find stuff and they forget that it's a little weird. And so by the time we get to the end of the street where we ended up shooting the actual gag, people were so flustered and just kind of taken off guard that they weren't ready. And that was, I think, the secret sauce to the actual thing. And, you were more involved in, Jake was more involved in the actual mechanic of the stunt or the illusion, but getting them there was really fun because it was a challenge to make it feel normal. But we did what? How many people did we get? Like 8?
We did like 7 or 8
or so.
Yeah.
8 or so. Yeah.
That's a lot of people. That's a factory line. You just gotta it's like, am I gonna be outside for 6 hours today just running up and down the street?
I was sore. I was literally sore because I was filming all day. But by the time we were on our 8th person, we had it down pat. And it was a well-oiled machine.
Well, that's why I almost ruined it. Remember, you guys were like, why are you here? And I was like, for one, I was invited. You told me to come here. And I was like, well, instead of waiting for them to come back for me, I'll be kind enough to go there. But the crazy thing is I saw the tent. And what's funny is I saw the tent and I took a picture of it. before I knew Nick was inside of it. Because I was telling my uncle when I was visiting him in Texas, I was like, there's tents everywhere in Los Angeles. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And then I pass it, and then Nick is looking at me with his lens, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But I thought he was just capturing like people getting the questions wrong about the video that you guys are doing. Yes, I didn't know. I was like, maybe he's really trying to get natty reactions from people.
So
on
you
this
made eye
video.
contact with Nick?
Yeah, but Nick was
you
also
have
like
a
pissed.
still frame on your phone of Nick's little head poking through the
Yes.
tent.
Okay.
But then as I walk by, Nick sees me. He gets so mad. He goes, what the fuck are you doing here? And I was like, all right, well.
Yeah.
But then I get to the
Why are you so angsty?
But then you're on the phone, and I'm like, okay, all right. And it just all happened perfectly. I still didn't know what the heck was going on.
Well, so
Yeah.
what happened from your point of view? What happened? So you walk by Nick, and you're walking up, and I'm with
Matt.
Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah, because I thought you guys were discussing
So-
Batgirl, which is what I was told.
So I got my call. As Jake, take out my phone. I put it on speaker because we quickly realized that it was not at all reliable to call their phone, and it was just better to
Yeah.
call my phone. But when did you walk up to us? It was around that point.
I was
right?
walking up as soon as like Jake got on the phone.
Did you see Jake before you heard him on the phone?
No.
So you walk up, you're like, "Who's that?"
Yeah, and we're listening, and it's Jake, and he goes, something, something, something. He goes, but look behind you. And so then we all look, and you're just standing there. So in my head, I'm like, you're not supposed to be here this week. And you were there. And then I think Matt was like, he's going to get in that van, isn't he? Or something. It just all happened really fast
Yeah,
for me.
Derek rolled in real slow on that one too.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't have the whole buildup of the questions on the
Yeah.
street, but I still came in not knowing what was going on.
So to say, maybe from your experience, what it was a little jarring, right? So
It still
I
worked.
think if you had been primed, maybe you would have had a different reaction, though.
I think it still 100% worked
It
for
worked,
me.
though.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Do
I
you
have
feel
no
like Jake
idea.
jumped in the van, or do you feel like he disappeared?
It looked like he disappeared, but if Matt wasn't in my ear saying he's gonna get in that van, isn't he?
Yeah, Jordan was cool with a guy in a tent. I think she would go along with the idea that he disappeared.
Yeah, it's
It's
100
like,
Street.
oh, cool, guy in tent, normal day, Jake's gone.
You don't
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen on that street. Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
good. The Duvetine was the kicker. That's how you
that
got
was
in
the
there.
sealer of the dealer. Yeah, we realized very quickly that when I would run behind the van, you could see my feet.
Yeah.
So we put a little piece of Duvetine as a little skirt on the van to lower the point of view closer to the road. And that, I think there was two things. It was that, and then it was turning and walking away from the people who we were referring to as the mark, walking away from the mark before then turning around and trying to jump in the van. But Derek was going almost 15 miles an hour in some of those shots. So there's some really funny footage from the GoPro angle on the other side of the van where I'm all cool and collected and I turn and walk away. And then as soon as that van hides me, it's just panic mode to figure out, orient myself to try to run and get in this van with this very small window where you can't see my feet, and then to just jump in it. And I was just going for it. I'm glad we used the stunt pad, because had we not put that down, it would have been pretty
Tough.
rough trying to jump
Because you were
in
just
there.
diving in there.
Yeah, just full
Yeah.
swan dive.
Yeah, you didn't really have a choice when the van was going that fast, because we did a few experiments to figure out, okay, what's the right speed, and how's this going to go. We did like 3 or 4 test runs before we brought anyone out, and then once we kind of had that dialed, the pacing and stuff, then we just tried to stick with it.
Yeah.
Niko, I'm curious from your perspective, as the kind of you were casting the spell on people, and then you were also going through the steps 8 times with people,
Mhm.
and it was really important that you answered your phone and you had that conversation. What was your experience watching the stunt over and over again with different people?
So there's always the moment of like a little bit of panic when it's about to happen. It's like, is it gonna work? Which was always really entertaining. And I will say, Jake, when you were like, the one thing is, I got to see Jake do it 8 different times, and I got to see his performance evolve as it went. I got to see it get more honed in, and like the turn and the walk was really nice. But eventually, you would turn and start walking in the direction the van was driving. And like for those, it kind of felt like you're just turning to get ready to go into the van. But there's other times where you turn and like it's a little bit more like you're walking directly away from camera or in the opposite direction. And those times it works really well. But I will say that like getting people to have to like do the trivia of like locations in Corridor, really like people realize they don't know our videos very well. And so I think that panic like hit half the crowd. Some people were fine, just like, dropped videos left and right. But some, like Matt named like 3.
Jordan Allen won?
Jordan Allen, like, yeah, his mind
full
shut down.
bagged.
Yeah. It's crazy. He's so good at Smash Brothers, but in terms of trivia, ugh.
His trivia was anything like his Smash Brothers, he'd be on top.
Yeah, but I think for me the most fun part outside of just doing the fake, crew cuts video was the phone call with Jake, because basically as the handler of the mark, I need to make sure that they are looking in the right direction, they don't miss the performance. Because something that sometimes happened is like, Jake, you'd be like, look behind you, and they turn and they'd see and they'd be like, Jake? And then Derek would start driving up with the car and he'd be like, look, there's one thing you need to know. And like you'd go into your one-liner, and then like 2 or 3 people at that point would stop, and then they'd look away from you. And they'd look over their shoulder back at the like yellow Amtrak building. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, like in human beings that make us like pause and like, is something behind me? Is something about to happen? I think people could feel that energy. And like once in a while, I'd have to like tap people on the shoulder, be like, hey, look back at Jake. And they look back at you just in time to see the car pass and have you disappear.
Yeah, we've all seen that. We've all seen that shot from the prank video where the person gets pranked and then they turn around or they look somewhere else away from the person who's pranking them for confirmation of the reality that surrounds them effectively.
Yeah.
And that was a human instinct that we didn't quite calculate for until it started happening.
Yeah. So you need like the thing to like, hey, look,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing with the phone was not like obviously answering my phone in a way that is meant for them to hear it. Like answering it for myself, and then you being like, is so-and-so there? And I thought at that moment people would be like, okay, what's the joke? But people were a little more like, yeah, I happen to be here coincidentally. I just coincidentally happen to be here. What do you want, Jake? It's weird that wasn't like the thing that tipped people off immediately. Yeah. And then, you'd start talking to them. And I think Matt mentioned, like, I knew something was up the moment you held the phone up to your lav. So I'm like, so I need to hold the phone more naturally out in front of me. So that's a good tip from Matt there. But yeah, it was really fun. And I don't know. It was just a thrill every time watching it happen, because sometimes Derek came in fast. Sometimes he took his time. Like, Jake, you had to improv your Jason Bourne dialogue, sometimes for a long time, an awkwardly long time. You had to be in your like spiel for like, you won't be able to see me once I disappear, or whatever you're saying, Yeah,
and it's a public street, so sometimes we had bogeys that would come down. And I mean, one of the earlier ones, I can't remember who it was with, but we were right in the middle of it.
I think it was Griffin.
This bogey car comes up and literally parks right in the middle between Nick and I, and then 4 dudes get out, and there's like a chop shop under the freeway right there, and so they're bringing in like ruined cars and damaged cars all the time. And there was these guys next to us that were replacing a door on this little sedan, and so Derek couldn't always get to me at the right time, and then that car pulled up in front of us, and I basically had to reposition. There was another time where I was hiding behind that silver sedan or that silver SUV, and the guy who owned it came in and got in it, and he looked at me kind of funny because I'm sitting there in this turtleneck with ear comms on and a backpack, and I just nodded at him, and he just whatever, and he got in his car and drove away. But I go, oh crap, he's gonna drive away. Right as the mark was walking towards us. So I had to quick hide behind this much smaller car right behind it. And I was just tucked in there. I thought for sure you guys saw me, but when you're not looking for it, it's easier.
Yeah, and I can't look around for you either, because then it gives it away. Same with Jonah. Right. We just had to trust that you're not visible. Now, Sam. So Sam was in the office when we were talking about these ideas.
Yeah.
And Jake, Sam knew what we were doing when we went on that walk.
Did he?
He did.
Okay.
He did play along a little bit, but
okay.
Authentically afterwards, we were talking about it. So, he's answering the questions, nailing all the films we've shot in the street, of course. Easily, he took the highest score of everybody. Just
Naturally.
demolished
Kind of a good
everybody else.
sign, actually.
Yeah, probably a good
Started
sign.
forgetting his own videos.
But when we turn on to Enterprise, because he didn't know where it was happening, he didn't know how it was going to happen.
Mm.
So he's just like waiting for the trap to be sprung. So he's coming in
Yeah.
with that. And the moment we turn on to Enterprise and start walking down towards, going under the street there, he was actively looking for you. Just searching every
Okay.
single corner, and he couldn't find you. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess Jake's not around here. I guess it's going to happen somewhere else. So when it turned out that you were behind him, that was
Yeah.
authentic, and that was actual surprise. And then,
Okay.
the car drove by and you jumped in it, which he kind of knew was going to happen, but he still got to just see it happen. And that
Yeah.
was also a very authentic reaction there.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And I'm pretty sure he thought that I wasn't going to be in town.
You
that
are
morning.
correct, actually. He did forget until
Okay.
something in the morning meeting tipped him off, which I think was actually you saying, I'm going to film this Crew Cuts video.
Oh,
And then
because
he
you
was
guys
like,
had kind of talked about.
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, the morning meeting.
That
Yeah.
was brilliant.
Yeah. What was your
Because,
perspective of the ruse?
I know everything about what everyone's doing. I can tell what you guys are thinking most of the time.
Mhm.
So when you were talking about it, I was like, that's a really good idea. And in my head, I was like, I mean, you wanted Niko to be involved. And in my head, I'm like, I was like, Niko's really busy. He's probably not going to want to do this. Swear. And then you did. Like, you were on board, and I was like, that's a good boss. So I was like, okay, like, this is fun. Like, this video is going to happen. That's all I thought about. I legit didn't think of anything because Nick, in like last week, wanted to shoot a video, but he was like, oh yeah, Jake's not going to be in town. So I remembered that, and so I didn't think you were going to be here.
Yeah, because Jake had
Perfect.
planned, he had told everybody he was going to come into to town this week, had bought us tickets, and they're like, oh, we should film this. And Jake's like, oh, Wendy's birthday is actually on that week. So I'll
Yeah.
just tell people I'm actually going to stay home and delay my trip by a week. So, it's my wife's birthday. Turns out Jake
Yeah.
actually still came into town on his wife's birthday.
She's pretty cool.
But Jake
Yeah.
has if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, you'll see that Jake has a spot where he works and he films from. And in the Monday morning meeting, if Jake is in Los Angeles, well, how can he appear to be at home in Texas?
Right.
So that was a little.
Yeah,
a
you
little
kept your
ruse.
camera off, and I can't believe I didn't catch that because you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm moving houses, so I can't put my camera on." But you were already in that house, and your camera was on the week before.
Yeah, Jake's like, I'm having
Right.
technical difficulties.
And the one person that doesn't have technical difficulties is Jake. He will figure it out. So I don't know. Maybe it was just Monday morning. I didn't have my coffee yet, but I didn't know anything.
The only other person I had to kind of get involved, which I only realized right before the Monday morning meeting, was that on the Crew Cut show, it's me and it's Austin, and I hadn't talked to him about it at all. And I like took him into actually Jake's like bedroom where he stays when he's here, and I was like, Austin, just come with me before we have this morning meeting. And I close the door and I go, I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna make no sense to you at all. And he was like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to present an idea that we've never talked about. And he goes, what is it? And I go, just whatever I say, smile, nod, pretend like we've talked about it. And he was like, what does this mean? And I was like, also, I'm going to be gone for most of the day. So you're going to have to edit. And he was like, what? And I was like, okay. They rung the bell. Let's go. And he just sat down. He's like, okay.
And Austin was like the like second person we filmed with.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first or second.
I felt like I owed it to him. I was
Yeah.
like, you
Get him
need
out
to
the
know
way.
what's going on here, man.
Uh,
Yeah.
You just
Everyone's
did
a
it
good
as some
sport.
sick joke to have him do the edit all day.
Yeah, I was just down at the end of the street having tacos. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a great sport. Everyone did a great job, and everyone's reaction was very different.
Who was
Yeah.
the most surprised or shocked, or who did it work on the best?
I think you were, Jordan.
Because I was an accident. Nothing.
think
Like
that
all
helped.
morning, nothing phased me.
I think Jordan Allen was the most like off guard, but also I think that's the one where your disappearance looked best to me.
Mm.
Okay.
I think there's really authentic surprise from Griffin and delight from everybody. But your disappearance got cleaner as it went on later. And then other people were maybe a little more clued in to it being like a bit. Whereas I feel like Jordan Allen had fully committed to the fake video that we were shooting by that point. Like he was all, because he had his mind had gone blank on him, so he was panicking.
Yeah.
So he had completely forgotten about any possibility of this being a setup for a second kind of video.
I also
Yeah,
think
whenever
that-
he gets into an idea, whether
Mhm.
it's on film or if he's working on something, he gets into it. So he's got that that talent to just be able to hone in on something, and I think that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lives in
Yeah.
a fantastical world already.
Yeah.
And so I think when he sees fantastical things, he just gets really excited. Like, I mean this in the best way. Like, he saw you standing at the end of the street, and I'm sure he just thought, this is gonna be great. And then just was like, already just
he
like,
saw
he was ready.
him.
Well, yeah, because like when he flipped
Like,
and he
on the
looked at
turn.
it,
Oh, that part. Okay.
he was already excited. You know what I mean? He's like, oh my God, Jake said he wasn't here. He's here. And suddenly he knows that something is
Anything's
going to
gonna
happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the zone that Jordan
in
Allen
my
wants to live
head,
in.
maybe the van wasn't such a shock to me. I was more shocked that you were in a turtleneck in the middle of the day. 'Cause
I was
like,
too.
okay. I was like, Jake's here, and I'm like, what the fuck is he wearing?
Did you guys know that Jake was actually in the studio when everybody was coming in for the Monday morning meeting?
I think Christian said he got here at like
Yeah.
9 a.m.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
me and you just passed each other because I was coming in from a flight. So I got in at like 9:30.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Did you hear everyone
I
come
was-
in?
I was hiding in the podcast room right behind where you're sitting.
Oh, brilliant. Because no one comes
Yeah.
in here
Just
on
laid
Monday
on the floor
mornings.
behind the couch while
Yeah, the
all,
lights
like,
were off and
everyone filtered
nobody,
in.
Nobody goes in there in the morning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Except me.
I just hid behind there.
I did say hello to you. I knew he
Yeah.
was in there, and I had to grab some stuff off this desk. And Jake had been like, I'm in the podcast room.
Oh.
Make sure no one goes in. So I came in, I was like, hey, Jake. And he didn't respond.
I
then
didn't
I
know
just-
who it was.
I started like getting my shit together. I was like, I guess he's not here anymore. And a full, like, a legitimate, like maybe 2 minutes fast. And I was like, okay. And I was just grabbing my stuff. And then he goes, hey, Jonah. And I was like, Jake.
I was pretty sure it was you, but all you had said was, hey, Jake. And then you didn't say anything. And I couldn't confirm just from those two
That's so
words
awkward.
that it was you. So I stealthily snuck my head up and around the corner and to confirm that it was you because I didn't want to blow it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I should have announced myself.
And then just,
That's okay.
hey, Jonah.
It's Jonah. Hi, Jake.
Scared the shit out
Did
of
you
me. 'cause I
guys
thought
say
he was
anything
gone.
else after that, or did you walk out of the room quietly?
Pretty much that. I was like, oh, okay, there you are.
That's
and I
how
was like, all
today's
right,
going.
I'm grabbing my stuff. I'm out. Good luck.
And then during the meeting, everyone was gathered upstairs, and Niko and Jonah and Nick and I were all in a chat, and Niko was giving me the all clear for when it was okay to run, because I had to run down the street to the van where Derek had parked it, but I couldn't let anyone see me. So as soon as I got the all clear, I sprinted out of the room and then sprinted down the street past the studio. And thankfully nobody was late or saw me.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that would have blew my cover.
Yep. And nobody was at the windows looking out.
Yeah.
Then when you jumped onto the Monday morning meeting, you're like, hey guys. And you got under control real quick, but I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we learned in this, as we learned in a few of the other ones, and as you learn in storytelling in general, it's this idea of misdirection that you can you can tell any story, and if you can say, hey, look at this or look at that, and then shift somebody's expectation, that's kind of a key through line that works not only in these experiments and these social experiments, but it works in general in storytelling. And I think that's an interesting element that I think gets underutilized and under discussed. It's true with magic. It's true with storytelling. But that was the one thing that Freddie had taught me when we did the first Batman one. And he'd kind of mentioned it, you know, when he started to get into magic. Because Freddie, as far as I understand it, he knows how to do little magic tricks. And I don't know when he picked
Little
up
magic
that
tricks.
skill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sleight of hand?
but-
yeah, why'd you put him in quotes?
well, you know, he's not like David Blaine, you know, but
none of us are.
he can, yeah, but he can do. I mean, I don't know when he started doing this or when he picked up this habit, but I remember, you know, like 10 years ago being in the studio and Freddie doing some hand trick and
Mhm.
fooling people.
I mean, he's a member of the Magic Castle.
Oh, really?
Is he a
Yeah.
member?
He's a pin carrying member.
Oh.
Wow. So there you go.
Yeah.
Because we did this one video, like, I don't know how long ago it was, but there was this one guy named Benji Dolly that
Mhm.
used to work out of the studio, and they convinced him one time. They set up a bucket full of water
Mhm.
and used a broomstick to like hold the water to the ceiling, and then somehow convinced Benji to take hold of the broomstick. I don't know what words were used, but they were like, "Yeah, I bet you can't get this down, or I bet you can't hold this up there." And Benji's was always ready for a challenge, so he immediately just jumped on it without realizing, okay, once I'm holding this up there, it's the only thing it's going to do is dump on me. But he was so athletic, he just like let go of the broomstick and then grabbed the water
Oh
as
wow.
it fell and
Wow.
it didn't
And
spill
caught
on
it.
him. But it's the same idea, you know? It's like you do everything you talk about everything except the thing that you're going to
Yeah.
do. And then at the moment where the person's attention is most attuned to the misdirection, that's when you pull the sleight of hand.
Mhm.
It's a similar thing here.
Yeah. Yeah, humans are funny that way. You can really
Yeah.
like get them invested and focused on something.
I
Yeah,
think too, it's worth saying, like, with the reference that we're pulling from like the Jason Bourne film, like you were saying, you can see him ducking down and like running. And, you know, I don't know what that would look like if we made that movie today, but I have a funny feeling they would probably like roto it out and make it clean and make it perfect. So it's like a perfect illusion. And then like you never see him. And like, I think that there is something to be said for like, not everything in a movie has to be magic. Like when someone does something cool, sometimes they're just running behind a bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
And I think
I didn't know that he did that until when we started talking about this idea about a year ago. Niko showed me that footage and pointed it out. But I'd seen the original a few times, and I never noticed before him ducking behind that cart and running away. I knew that they did something there, but I just assumed it was a comp out.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and if that's what you assumed, then the illusion worked on you. And it's like
Right.
it's like an effort thing. Like it sold the idea. And like we sold the idea to everyone. And could we have done it with like 4 cars and like, you know, other misdirection, and like could we have done it at higher speed? Like maybe. But like at the end of the day, we created like an illusion that worked,
Yeah.
and it created an effect. And there's like this kind of line you have to walk when it comes to like creating an illusion. And I think that what we proved with that was that you don't even need to film it. Like it works. Like it impacts people to do that. And you don't need visual effects. You just need friends in a van. If you get a van, and
There's a lot of
friends.
things you can do with a van.
well, you know what Jordan Allen was saying? He wanted to start a service that will do that at parties for people. So if you want to
Yes.
exit a party
The
really,
Irish goodbye.
really cool, you can
Van.
just call your buddy with the van, and they'll just come in, and you can be like, all right, tonight was great.
It just
It's an
drives by.
exit service.
It's a real
Yeah.
thing you can do.
We're enterprising into exit servicing,
Yeah.
where anytime you need to leave somewhere super cool like that, you just call us. We come for you.
We come for you.
They
That
think
was
that you're
good.
just kidnapped.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing too. It does kind of feel like a little bit like a kidnapping,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's cool.
But like at the person's request, it's a little weird. It's like, did he just get kidnapped but do it on purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, why
Yeah,
you jump into a creepy
one
van?
that we should try is in the future is you know, in those in all those chase movies where they have 3 of the same car,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
you know, we got to try something like that with a drone. We have 3 of the
You'd-
exact same car, and then somebody has to follow it and follow the right one.
The movie Ambulance.
yeah.
They did it like perfect. Did you guys
Yeah.
watch Ambulance?
Oh yeah, when they
Yes.
like paint the
They
car.
painted it, but they also had like 3 red cars.
Maybe we should do that for our drone video.
Yeah,
Car chase drone.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
That'd be cool.
that's not a bad idea. Does it work to have to drive under an underpass and have like the car change colors or whatever? You know,
Yeah,
or have 3 different cars
exactly.
drive out.
Yeah.
Oh man, can you do the swap? You don't even need 3 cars, just one. Can you have like, so you challenge your friend to follow a car, what they don't know. Man, maybe we shouldn't do this on the podcast. Too bad. Let's see who listens to the podcast. Hey, if you work at Corridor and listen to this, don't tell anybody else at Corridor about this podcast.
Turn this off. We'll wave our hands when you can listen
Griffin's
again.
gonna hear it one of these days.
Griffin, don't tell anybody about this. So you challenge somebody to fly a drone and follow the car, and what they don't know is when that car goes under an overpass, it's going to swap to a different, like somebody else is going to take off in like the same color car.
Yeah.
And then, you know, at some point the person with the other car comes back and like walks up to the person flying the drone still and be like, hey, I'm here. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're here? I'm still following you, or something like that. And you could
Yeah,
you test that out.
Yeah.
that would be ultimate. In
Yeah.
Ambulance, they actually did one of the swaps in the exact location where we filmed
Yeah.
Photo Reel. Do you remember that
That's
video?
right. Yep. Yeah, he goes down there. Yep.
Yeah, they did it. So that's another film location that maybe they knew about. But yeah, in the exact same spot where Sam is chasing me in that video, that's where they shot one of the swap scenes in Ambulance. That would be cool. We should try that.
That'd be cool. Then it's the ninja smoke bomb effect.
Yes. Yeah,
Which I don't
that
think is
one
actually possible.
That one is dang near impossible as I see it currently.
To get a smoke puff that big requires a pretty big explosive.
Yeah, we need some dynamite.
Like a pretty big explosive. Like not huge, but like big enough that it becomes a little bit more of a logistics issue.
Yeah,
to
we've
figure
all
out.
seen it. We've all seen it done. In all these different movies over history, they throw the smoke bomb, and then poof, the person's gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how do you actually do that without a trap door?
I was
Or
just
do-
about to say trapdoor.
You
Yeah.
could
Trap
try a trap door. It'd be pretty hard to fabricate a trap door without anyone noticing, though. I mean, this one would have to be elaborate. We'd have to take people off location for another production, and then if we're at a different location where we're filming something else, and then we do this while we're there, then it would work.
So we fabricate an entire production. Okay.
Well, we just do another production. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Two birds with one stone. We have a real production and then a secondary production that's kind of using the actual production
Yeah.
as
As
a
a
fake
production.
production.
yes.
That's a good idea.
This is both a
that's
fake
when you
and
do
real
that.
production. Yeah. Is there a part of you that wants to edit that crew cuts video into an actual video?
You know, I hadn't thought about it until we were just talking about it now. It would work, like, but I don't know if it's like not many people got enough. Like, we could do it. It's funny now that we're talking about it on the podcast, and this is coming out after the video's out. So maybe I can cut together that footage. It's pretty funny. Like, I would do it just for Jordan Allen's response, man. He's just like, the whole time. And there are some great things that we filmed on the street. So yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
could do it. I don't know. I'll think about it. You were there. Should it be a crew cut?
I think it'd be a pretty funny crew cuts video. It doesn't need to actually be the video that we're pretending it is, but like watching people attempt to film this second fake video that we're filming, and with that context that this is actually part of a bigger prank, would be kind of funny.
Yeah, we can do it. We'll
Yeah.
release it. Yeah, that'd be fun. And then we can, show the little clip show of the things that we filmed.
And you could even include the Jason Bourne thing at the end.
yeah.
Yeah. it's,
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, and it just ends every time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, as
That
long
was
as you
fun,
give
man.
it the context at the beginning, I think
Yeah.
it would totally work.
No, we should do it. We spent so much time out on the street. Like, that's what I think people watching this Jason Bourne challenge won't really understand is like each one of those people, I don't know, took like 10 minutes, 15 minutes
Yeah.
each. We did 8 of those and we had to wait sometimes. And it was like, by the end, I was like tired, dude. Like it was a lot
Yeah.
because we were also, it wasn't as simple as just bringing them out there. It was like we had to kind of do this song and dance thing.
Yeah.
But it was totally worth it. I think we've really heightened these challenges to a degree where it's like we're getting into like you can't just show up anymore, and do a challenge. Like we've now set the bar very high. So I think going car chase is probably the next logical step or something crazy. I think we had talked about faking your death possibly and seeing if that's
Ooh.
possible. All sorts of things.
What?
A
Faking
little
your death?
Machiavelli going on.
You remember that scene in Sherlock when he fakes his
We
death?
don't want to traumatize somebody with a fake death.
No.
But
Hey,
is
wait,
it,
Jake,
but
get off
is
the
it
roof, Jake,
possible,
no!
dude? Is it possible?
Like, what the fuck?
I didn't think about that element.
We're not
of
going
it.
to do that to anybody.
I know it's ethically horrible and like we definitely shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
But is it
there's
possible?
a lot
Is it
of-
possible? Yes, it's possible.
the anxiety that I wouldn't trust anyone after that.
Yeah, that would be too far. So that's too far. So in the
So
space
now that we
between
know-
Jason Bourne and faking your own death, we have a lot of room.
We have a lot of
We can do a lot there. It's gonna be
There's
fine.
still a ton of room in there.
If you guys have any ideas, leave a comment.
That isn't that idea. You can't fake someone's death. It's not good. It's tax evasion technically.
Can you
Well,
repaint a car
yeah.
quickly enough to lose the cops?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be a good one. All we would need is a pursuit
cops.
driver and a closed course.
Yeah, the problem is in LA, you're not getting away because it's the traffic. So
Right.
all of those ideas would be really hard to do in like an open street.
You know how you get away in LA? Is you take on your chase, you go to the airport because the copters can't follow you on the airspace.
Really?
So then you can get a spot to get out on foot and go hide. There you go, everybody.
Why do you know?
I mean,
this?
that's the classic
I live in
trope
LA and
in
these are
any
important things to
helicopter
know.
car chase.
Wow. I love that.
You don't have an escape route?
No.
I have two.
From the cops?
You just got mad at
Anything.
me about faking your death. This is way more suspicious.
Look,
Yeah.
I think about look, if there's a big earthquake and the water lines from like the reservoirs to LA broke.
Yeah.
And 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks without water,
Yeah.
fresh water, how would you get out?
I'll tell you, actually, I have thought about this.
Okay.
I have a stockpile of water. I do. I get the 5 gallons. So I have enough water for at least 2 weeks. Now, after that is where it gets interesting. And I don't know the answer to this question. But what I do know is that there's no way you're getting out. Actually, I do have an answer to this. Realistically, I don't know which version of like the apocalypse you're talking about here.
Big earthquake.
Big earthquake. You're getting out on foot. There's just no way that you're getting out on the roads because everyone starts freaking out. All the roads are going to get jammed up. So you better have a method of like you're going to hike out. That's the only way. So
Unless
you
you have a boat.
unless you have a boat, you could try and get out by sea. But even then, to circumvent all the way down, you would have to be such an expert sailor, and be so prepared to do that. I think the only realistic way would be just be prepared and have a bug out bag and water, and then just start hiking east, through and try and go
Man,
high
that
so that you're
desert,
not
though.
going in the desert.
That desert. That'd be tough. The Mojave?
Ooh,
Literally,
You're-
it's
you're
called
not
Death
going east.
Valley, Jonah.
Dude,
You just go
You're not going east,
straight-
Jonah.
so you can't go east, so you go
Straight
up.
east,
Do you go
like,
up?
It's like start going
north?
towards West Covina.
Unfortunately, I think
What
north
is your plan? You seem like you have a plan.
Jordan's just going to go to West Covina.
We're just gonna go to West Covina. Honestly, that's
Wow.
desolate.
I don't know how we
It's
got
honestly
here,
a
but I
good
like
question. So
Wow.
I thought about this too because I feel like the quickest way out of the city is bikes in the LA River.
it. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's my plan is you get on the paved
Mm.
river and you go up that because you're not
Up
gonna have
north.
or you just get out of the city first,
Okay.
because you're not gonna have traffic jams on the LA River.
Yeah.
Theoretically. I mean, if you don't take a car on it, but
All the cyclists.
Well,
yeah.
where does it end when you go north, though?
stop and go bike traffic.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, LA.
Doesn't it end in Santa Clarita when
What's that?
the LA River?
Probably. And that's the
When,
problem though, is Jonah posed this question, which I think about too, is but to the east, it's all desert. To the south, it's all desert. To the north, it's mountains. And it's kind of desert. I mean, I get, there's all those farms there, but it's
Yeah.
that's all irrigation and stuff, so it's it gets really tricky.
Pretty brutal.
The thing is
It'd be a long way going through the Central Valley because especially if you're talking about the situation you're talking about, which is where the reservoir is broken, all that is watered by that same system.
Yeah.
So I've driven across there and it's on a motorcycle and I don't think you'd want to walk across that.
I did so I have a solar kit for camping that I
Okay.
use to charge up my one wheel and bikes and, Ren's
that.
one wheel and bikes and whatever,
Yeah.
the gang's bikes and one wheels. I did the calculations and that would be enough to get me 20 to 25 miles on my Tesla with a full day of solar.
Okay.
So that's maybe if for some reason the roads were clear, but there wasn't gasoline, you could travel during the night
Yeah.
Yeah.
and charge during the day and travel during the night and charge during the day. And I could do it 25 miles at a time,
Oh my.
but I'd be in the car.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for raiders.
Yeah.
I know.
Dude,
I
your
would have to watch
solar
out
panel
for
would be a
raiders.
hot commodity.
But honestly, going at
Yeah.
night is kind of smart because it's the raiders.
They get scarier at night.
Yeah,
Jonah.
maybe they get scared at night.
But don't
it's-
forget, if they're scared, they're just as scared of you at night as you are of them.
Yeah, and you were in a car.
True.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With
But
a bazooka, probably.
oh, so is that in your bike up?
I found it on the way when I was traveling.
Oh, well,
Of
you're
course,
traveling.
yeah.
You
No,
found
I mean, it's your story. You can write whatever in.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere an option.
It is. That's
'Cause
probably the best option.
I honestly think shelter in place is probably
In the
s-
event of a major earthquake that took water out for 2 months, probably shelter in place would be your best option. But
I would
if
just
you run out of
immediately
water,
ration water,
Yeah.
and just try and figure that out. But
You need
Dude,
a
it's
life
scary.
straw. That would help.
Might as well just boil it.
Purification.
Well, you
systems.
need the water in the first place. That's the tough part.
yeah.
The thing is, realistically, there's probably a way to get fresh water from the ocean that could at least keep people sustained in LA.
How?
whether it's boiling it or evaporation or something like
Have
that.
we tried?
You
I
can't
don't know if
boil
any of
the
you guys
salt
have
out
tried.
of salt water.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, the salt stays in the pan. The water evaporates.
It's just incredibly inefficient.
Yeah,
It's very
super
inefficient.
yeah, you're talking about a still.
Yeah. I've been talking about it.
Yeah, a still would work,
Mhm.
but it would
Oh.
only give you so much.
Yeah.
Right, but when it comes to just having drinking water, I feel like there's enough coast and there's enough
Yeah.
people that I feel like you can make it happen.
Yeah.
That's true. We could start
LA
a still
during
factory.
that type of.
Mm.
People are already scary enough as it is.
Yeah, no,
Just like on a
it'd be
normal
nightmare,
work day
man.
trying
I'd
to
be
get
so
here.
scared.
You would think it's already happened. I couldn't imagine if it already happened. Oh my god.
I always thought so. Where I grew up is really far north in New Hampshire, very high, like east, and they were doing nuclear testing up there during the Cold War.
Mhm.
And my town, the way that it's structured, is the only way in or out is through this valley. We call it like the Notch, and legend has it that they installed explosives on either side of the notch so that if there was any sort of nuclear leak or any problem, they could blow the notch and trap everyone in. And it was like they're like fail safe for if things went bad. The only way out would be through Canada. And so we always thought, like growing up, we had this like existential dread of like this happening. Like we would talk about it growing up. Be like, what happens if they blow the notch? What happens if they blow the notch? And we would all talk about it. We'd be like, all right, well, we'll go to the highest peak. We'll set up camp up there. Be able to like send flares out from that. Like it was like our boogeyman growing up for some reason. So I never thought about the problem of being like all the way out west. It presents a way different issue.
Yeah, because I feel like I'd want to get to the Midwest. You can just drill a well and have
Yeah.
fresh water. I don't know if you can. Maybe you can drill a well here. I don't know if you can. I mean, that also eliminates any.
You
like,
might
water
hit oil
issues.
first.
You might be right. Actually, I don't know about the groundwater in LA.
Yeah.
Well, now with all this rain, there's probably some, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like if something happens like that, you fill up your bathtub if you can.
Oh.
With the
and
latent
just
pressure in
keep
the
it.
pipes, you just immediately put that all in your bathtub, and that's a tank of water that you have on demand now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get the 5-gallon jugs too. They're super cheap.
Yeah.
And you just have a stockpile of those.
Or
Yeah.
just get to the studio. There's about 20 of them there.
That's true. Jordan does this weekly workout. How often do you do it?
It's too often.
Too often? How many are there that you do? It's crazy,
There's
dude.
like 20 at a time.
Sometimes
I think
yeah.
that's where my biceps came from.
Wow.
I promise you. It's not the gym.
Sometimes I'll help and I'll do like 2 and I'm like, damn, I did a good thing today for Jordan. And then I think like, bro, there's like
It's me coming up with
15
two.
of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I do God's work.
Yeah, you really do.
That's right.
This whole studio only runs because Jordan's here.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, a bunker's not a bad idea when you buy a house. You guys are homeowners. Have you guys
Did you have a
thought
bunker?
about just adding? Jake, I just feel like this is something you've started working on.
I mean,
I feel like down here is a better bunker. Like this building is a
Yeah.
good bunker.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a brick wall with like raised windows. Like this place is a castle. You
Wow.
know. So
yeah, that's why I moved to this small farm because
Just in case.
in and of itself is a bug. It's a bug out bag in and of itself. Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere if all that happened. I would just stay. I would shelter in place.
Because you have a well too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there is some real risk of the wells drying up. It has It depends on where you are, with respect to the water reservoirs, obviously, but it has happened at a few places around here. You know, there's always that existential fear of, oh well, your well's going to dry up. But I have a buddy down the road, Logan Stark
Oh.
from BRCC. Yeah, he's only on Rainwater.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, so he has, gutters all around on his. He's got an auxiliary barn in his main house, and that all goes into these storage tanks. So anytime it rains, and you can collect water pretty quickly that way. And of course, it rains a lot more here than it does there. But he did run out of water last year because he only had one tank. So he put in another one. But that's the main threat here, is just the lack of water, especially with all the people moving to this area. And the other thing that I've been learning about is how important the grass is to the groundwater and the aquifer. And there's always this tendency to go, oh, well, if we're going to build something, we should figure out a way to like control and divert the water. But what you actually want, all that does is gather the water together and make it more stronger and send it away from wherever you are faster. So it actually works against the ecological implications. If you put grass down, that grass catches the water, slows it down, and then sends it back down into the aquifer rather than
Mhm.
sending it away from where you are. So I wish more people knew that here, because there's a lot of development, and the common practice is to just divert the rainwater somewhere.
As opposed to
but
putting
that-
it into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that actually is kind of the opposite of what we could be doing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting. I've been learning a lot, and I had these same thoughts when I lived in LA too. I had, I had a bug out bag, and that was pretty much my plan. You get a lightweight AR with a light backpack, and you just walk.
Yeah.
Because what else can you do?
Yeah.
Get the life
I'm
straw.
just walking to San Antonio, I guess.
Yeah.
You're there. I know you
just
have
go
plenty
to
of
Beverly
ammo.
Hills and just, do a Bill Murray and just try and, it's like in Zombieland, just find the nicest house and hang out in it.
Yeah.
That's your plan?
Let's go to Calabasas.
Yeah.
They're set.
Dude, when I lived in high school, when I was in India, we lived off Rainwater on the mountain, and they have monsoons there. And so you would see these tanks everywhere. You could probably fit 3 of them in here. They were that big. Boom, boom, boom. These big black tanks, and they were everywhere on the mountain. And because the monsoon would last for months at a time,
Mm.
they would literally swap them out too. Like
Oh, really?
they had so much rain. Like it just rained straight for months. Like it was so moist that if you didn't put newspaper in your drawers, your clothes would mold.
Oh man.
Really?
Like it was absurd.
Wow.
And then during the summer, you would use that water. But we had monkeys. And
These damn
I was on top of the mountain. There's like this, it's called Chucker on the top, where there's like a couple restaurants. And I watched a baby monkey fall into one of those
Aw.
water things. And it was one of the most ethically fascinating situations I've ever seen, because you had this baby monkey that fell into it, and the mama monkey was freaking out and was trying to get in there. And there was a bunch of men who saw it happen, and they're like, all right, let's dump out this jug so that we can get the baby out. But obviously the monkey didn't understand that, the mother monkey. So she's fighting these dudes who are trying to do this. And it took so long. It was so fascinating to watch. They're like fighting off this monkey, trying to push it over, and the monkey would come back and they're kicking it. They finally got it tipped over. But by then, like a couple minutes had gone by, and you saw this monkey kind of slide out, and the mother monkey ran over to it, grabbed it up. It was limp, and she just dipped in the woods. And I was like, damn.
Wow.
And what sucks is because it was because of a man-made creation.
Yeah, like we created this problem, and then we were trying to fix it. And I don't, maybe the monkey survived, maybe it died. I don't know. But yeah, there's like a lot of impact from all the methods that we try and solve the water problem from.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
totally.
like, it's just brutal to see, like, at the end of the day, like we kind of created a problem by like creating these like really advanced cities and whatnot, and like pushing all the nature out. And we thought that was like a really good idea. But then when we try and solve it by, say, like getting a bunch of rainwater tanks, and then suddenly like nature starts interacting with it, and it becomes like a problem again. It can be really
it's a
brutal.
balance. It's definitely a balance. I mean, you can't, if it wasn't for those rain jugs, it'd be a human baby, but it'd be dehydration instead. And it's like, what do you
Yin and
do?
yang.
You gotta balance it. But anyways, just like when we shot Jason Bourne, you have
We
to
got real
balance
deep there. Sorry.
the
That was a really
interests.
solid like tangent right there. That was good.
Yeah.
That
was a good challenge, and I'm glad we got onto that one.
That's what I like about these podcasts.
Yes, you never know you never know what we're gonna be talking about at the end. What was that one we
Right.
did the other day where we were talking about clay?
Claymation and Pinocchio and like clay stock. Like I got these 10 Pinocchios worth in my basement. Oh man. Bust out these 10
man.
more Pinocchios with the amount of clay I got.
Yeah, so you never know where we're gonna end up, but I don't know. I think that's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Way to go, Jonah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a podcast.
Yes.
It's time for us
Thanks
to
for
end our
joining
day.
us once again. And well, if you haven't seen the Jason Bourne episode, please go watch it and let us know if there's some other tropes that you want to see done in this experiment. Maybe we'll try that underpass one.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely not going to do that.
Definitely
For
not gonna do that.
sure,
No.
We're not doing
No.
that.
And
Griffin, we're
we
not
sh-
doing
yeah.
that one.
We would never do that.
We shouldn't hire Bree Lynch
Yeah.
from the Punch for Punch
Don't
episode.
hire her.
again. We
Yes.
won't reach out to her.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely not.
Perfect.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.